team who invited me to come and speak with you today. It's great to see so many of you here. It's great to be able to get a photo and tweet out, as some of you may have just noticed, of such a full room, so many people coming together. What I think is actually so important about NAP is that you are really involved in making sure that you are doing the best and improving our communities. Actually, it's something we all have in common. We may disagree occasionally on the journey of travel or the way to deliver it, but actually one thing we all have in common when we get involved in public life in any way is our desire to improve our communities. And one of the things that I've been working on over the last few months since the general election in order to do my part for that, and the government playing our part in that, is to make sure we get more homes built. More homes in the right places and the right tenures for people who need them. So I want to touch on something very briefly before I go on to this. But I thought what I'd do is spend a few minutes talking you through what we're doing and what the outcome intention is for the housing and planning bill. And I will touch a bit within that actually on neighbourhood planning and the important role that all of you as members of the National Association of Local Councils have to play in terms of delivering that. And why planning is important and why you should be focused on, interested in and cajoling and persuading district authorities as well in your dealings with them around planning and what they do. But I also just firstly wanted to thank all of you who have been involved and the National Association of Local Councils more widely actually on taking on being that sector-led body around audit. I took the audit and accountability bill through Parliament and working with the team, Justin Kent and the entire team actually. I'm pleased to see that the sector is coming together and actually through now continuing now. It's a really good step. So thank you for doing that. Congratulations on putting that work together. Now, I'm going to focus a bit on housing. And I'll be quite upfront about that. We said in our manifesto this year, where we launched it actually, we launched with two key policies, and they were both housing. That was extending the right to buy to 1.3 million more people through the housing association, social tenants, and creating a new product called Starter Homes. Now, we have signed a voluntary agreement, a historic deal with the housing associations, which the Prime Minister announced at the party conference in October this year. We're doing a very small bit of work in the housing planning bill to put that into practice, but actually it is a voluntary deal. It doesn't need legislation. So people have that opportunity to get home ownership through that deal. More importantly, in some ways, as much as home ownership is a key focus for us, and I would context all of this with the fact that it's worth bearing in mind 86% of our population wants to own their own home. The other side of the right to buy that's important is it actually does mean that more homes get built. Because the key thing with extending the right to buy is that all of the income that comes in from those homes that have been built, that ability to realise the value of an asset that's not been realisable before, is that that money gets used to build more homes. So it drives housing supply up. The National Housing Federation that represents housing associations has been very clear about that. This will increase housing supply. And even the reinvigorated scheme is already delivering a home for every home that is sold. In fact, in London it's close to 2 to 1. And I saw something in the summer that really brought home to me. Actually, on Friday last week, I went up to Liverpool. We've got 5 pilots taking this forward now. And one of those is in Liverpool Riverside. And I met a lady there called Wendy who had sat up until midnight on Wednesday night just so that she could be the first person to register online for that chance to buy her own home. So she had no concept of ever being able to achieve in her life up until that announcement on Wednesday. And meeting her and seeing what that meant to her really does bring home why this matters, why it is important that we do everything we can to support people who want to own their own home. But as I say, there's another side, an important side, which is housing supply. And in the summer, I was fortunate enough to go and meet a couple who had just bought their own home through the right to buy, a home they'd lived in for 10 years. And they were getting married the following weekend, actually. And the sense of excitement, not just around the wedding, but the fact that that home they were in was now theirs. They owned it, could plan and decorate for it. It just gives a different feel to it. It was really quite touching. What really drove home to me the importance of right to buy was that when I left them, I went to meet another couple who had just got married the previous weekend. And when I met them, Matt, the husband, and his wife were living with his parents. And they were living with his parents because Matt is in a wheelchair and is quadriplegic and has obviously special needs. and the parents have been able to get their home adapted, his room adapted so that it worked for him. But they had very little expectation of being able to get their own home. But the local authority was developing 6 homes on the ex-garage site to be able to develop those homes. And they made one of those homes available to Matt and his wife and are customising it to match for his special needs. They're able to do that because of the income from the homes they have sold. But when you realise that that home that is sold brings in money that is then used to build new homes for people like Matt and others right across the country, it does drive home why right to buy is important on so many levels. And as I say, this extended scheme going forward will deliver more homes. Now, the general housing planning bill comes in several parts. Firstly, we're creating this new product, Starter Homes, and we did that in committee the week before last. And Starter Homes will be homes for first-time buyers that they can buy at a 20% discount. Now, in some parts of the country, I appreciate people make the case that a 20% discount still gives you a price that's quite high. And I would say there's a couple of points I'll make to that. Firstly, actually, it's not about the average price of a home in a given area. There's a difference between the average price of a home in this country and the average price a first-time buyer pays for their home. They're actually generally way below the average price of a home. And if you look around the country, and I do appreciate London has a particular challenge here, but I'll come back to that in a moment. If you look around the country, you can buy a new home, particularly an apartment, in most of the country for circa £100,000. If you need a 2 or 3 bedroom home, bear in mind we're talking about first-time buyers here, but if you need a 2 or 3 bedroom home in East Anglia, in areas like my constituency, in the Midlands, in the North and the South West, you can buy a new build home for under £150,000 and quite easily for under £200,000. And if any of you can look at this on Rightmove tonight. The Bill Committee has taken evidence from a wide range of people, and this has come through very, very clear. If you take 20% off that, you are into a slightly different world of what people can afford to do. But more importantly, if you link that starter home with a 20% discount, or whatever price you pay for it, what really makes this step change is a 20% discount on the market price, and then you buy that home with Help to Buy. So you need just a 5% deposit. And if you're in London, bear in mind the government will pick up 40% of the equity. So you're asking your lender in London for 35%, and outside London just 55% loan to book value, as they refer to it. It is a complete step change in the affordability of somebody being able to buy a home. In practice, what it means is somebody earning £25,000 a year through to £35,000 a year, who since 2008 would have struggled to get anywhere near the housing ladder, suddenly has a chance to get on the housing ladder again. But I'm not pretending that starter homes are the solution to all of our housing challenges. They are just a part of the solution. They're something we are doing for first-time buyers. We are also expanding what we do with shared ownership, particularly in London, cities where prices are high. Shared ownership is a really important step into making it affordable to be able to get into a home. Even in London, your shared ownership of £100,000 will get you into a very nice home. So it's a real opportunity there for people. And what the Housing and Planning Group does is it creates starter homes. It also is doing some work around the private rented sector. The private rented sector is growing. It will continue to grow. There is substantial, billions of pounds of money looking to invest in the private rented sector. And we want to make sure tenants are properly protected. So in this bill, we are cracking down a lot harder on rogue landlords, creating bagging orders, maximum fines that have no limits, and creating criminal offences to make sure that we do everything we can to drive rogue landlords completely out of business. We're also moving on then to speed up the planning system. I've said for a while that there are no great policy plans to change in the planning system. We've got an NPPF, National Planning Policy Framework, that's set, it's cross-party, pretty well agreed now, it's a solid document that's delivering. Bear in mind that moving planning locally has now delivered a record number of planning permissions, circa 250,000 in the last year, which is roughly where we need to be. I think we need to go a bit further. But we want to speed up the system and make it easier, more locally focused. So what we're doing in the bill is we're going to make, and we'll be dealing with this next week, it easier and quicker to do neighbourhood plans. Now I want to thank all of you and the National Association actually for the work that you have done on neighbourhood planning. 90% of all the neighbourhood plans that are going through are being put through by parish and town councils. That work that you do is invaluable because that is actually localism writ large. And neighbourhood planning gives a chance for people in their community to come together, to work out what is right for them, what is appropriate for them. And some of you may have heard me say this before, but it is important. Not just that we build more houses, but that we build the right homes in the right places, in the right tenders. Neighbourhood planning is really focused on making sure that we get those homes built in the right places. But it also gives confidence to people, because it does have weight in planning. It gives confidence because it means that when a community comes together, if they're worried about inappropriate development, they come together and develop a neighbourhood plan, they get that protection that once the neighbourhood plan is done and approved, actually development in their area will be in line with that neighbourhood plan. And we have got to make sure we get local plans through as well. And ultimately what you get to is having the real confidence that, particularly with planning commission in principle, as we develop that through the housing bill, if you've got a neighbourhood plan that identifies where development should be in your area, you've got the confidence of being able to look at developers, and developers looking at your plans and knowing that if they want to develop in your area, this is the place to develop, and the planning system will make it easier to develop there. So it encourages that positive dialogue between the area and developers around what is appropriate and what can work. And we're seeing how popular neighbourhood plans are, because with the, it's about just over 1,600 going through the system now. In October the 1st, we broke through the 100 barrier of those who had a referendum and approved. And the referendums are proving that this works, because they're going through with approval ratings that most politicians, any of us who stand for election, would love. We've got an 88% approval rating. I'm not sure there's many MPs or councillors who've got that kind of approval rating. And they're going through with good turnouts as well. Turnouts above what we see in local council elections, and with those kind of average 88% approvals. What we're also seeing is even when people get together to start a neighbourhood plan, I've had a few areas I visited where in the privacy of a meeting without a journalist there, some of the people have said, well yes, actually we started this process because we wanted to make sure that nobody would build anything near us ever, anywhere here again. And yet once we sit around the table, actually somebody did make the point, got 2 kids, we do need, I'm not sure where they're going to live. And then somebody else says, well, actually yes, and my friend's desperate to move, they've got a job here locally, they're going to commute an hour and they really would like to live locally. And it might be the landlord or the post office or the local shopkeeper will say, well, actually we're really struggling. So the pub on Friday night and we have 4 people here, we really, we need to do something about it. Okay, well we need some houses. What we need to do is make sure we have just the right number of houses in the right part of town or in the right part of the village. What we don't want is 600 stuck in the wrong place. That is an entirely sensible conversation to have. It's why actually the neighbourhood plans that are coming through with some very sensible and actually really good housing numbers. The one part of the country actually, the neighbourhood plans that have gone through the villages have meant that that area has got 120% of the housing supply it needs for its local plan. Because the local plan had actually said a number of the villages didn't need any development, but the villages themselves have come together and said, actually, we do want some development. Now, people told us when we moved to this locally led system that it wouldn't work, that people would say no to development, that people would say, actually, I don't want anybody building anything near me ever again, and they would use this as a way of blocking development. I think our trust in people to do the right thing for their communities is paying dividends. Because actually we have moved from a centrally controlled system where somebody like me in an office in Whitehall says, here's what you must build, to having people locally work out what their needs are and what is right for them is working. Because as I just said, we've just seen around 250,000 homes get planning permission, and that's pretty much a record level. And it keeps going. And particularly as more neighbourhood plans come through, I think we can see that grow further. And actually, the more that we see come through, the more confidence people can have about how to do it. Now in the bill we want to make it a bit quicker and a bit easier. I'm going to make it harder for district councils to block neighbourhood plans. There are some parts of the country where district councils are dragging their feet a bit around helping the areas get to referendum. We're going to stop that. We're going to make that go a bit quicker. And the same with designation. If you want to do a neighbourhood plan, I want people to be able to get on with it. So we're going to make it easier and quicker for you to start that process. Plus we're going to keep going with our support for it. £22 million is out there to support neighbourhood planning. £8,000 directly for the parish council. If it's more complicated, it could be higher than that, but it's around £8,000 on average. And of course, if an area has a neighbourhood plan in place, it gets 25% of the community infrastructure levy where that's in place. So it is a really valuable tool for that local community. So if you're not doing a neighbourhood plan yet, please think about it. We've also on the website DCLG now, the Communities and Local Government Department, a pretty simple toolkit that outlines how it works and what you can do. It's a pretty good guide for areas to look through. But I equally accept that neighbourhood planning is not the quickest and easiest thing you will do. It won't be done in 3 months. I want to make it quicker than 3 years. I'm determined to get it down to a 1 or 2 year process. But it does need some work. I fully accept that. I make no apologies for that, because ultimately when your neighbourhood plan is in place, it has weight in law. And because of that, it's got to be robust. It's got to go through a process. So you'll have to excuse us continuing to require a formal process to get these plans done, but they are worth it. Whether you want the community infrastructure levy, whether you want that protection control over local planning, it is a powerful thing to do. What I'm also seeing when I visited areas with neighbourhood plans is people saying to me, when they get going, it can be hard work. Once you start talking about planning, it interests people. Because actually, most of us spend our time in our lives doing what we do in our lives. But as soon as you talk about a planning application next door, most councillors will always say to me, actually, it's the quickest way to get their residents to interact with us when there's a planning application. When you talk about planning, people take an interest. And actually, what areas are saying to me generally is actually by doing these interactions, and particularly once they start communicating about what it might be in a neighbourhood plan, or doing an exhibition at a school show, or taking over the village hall to get people in to have a look at it, they're finding people coming in and getting involved who have not been involved in the community before. And it's actually becoming a very good way of building up community spirit, community involvement, community activity. And that in and of itself, I think, is a really good thing. Ultimately, I want the planning minister of any government to be relatively underworked in the sense of planning cases, because I think they should be driven and decided locally. District councils are elected, parish councils are generally elected, and I think that's the right place. The community itself can decide what the community's development should be. So I want to see that go further. And I will be very happy, both with the association more generally, when Ken and Justin and the team meet from time to time, or if you want to directly feed into my office. If you've got ideas of things we can do to make the process even easier, even quicker, and even more powerful, please don't hesitate to let me know. For those of you who have already gone through this process, thank you for being those vanguards out there. For those thinking about it, do go through it. It's worth doing. It will bring your community together, it will give you control. It's a good thing to do for the country. But I will say, very bluntly, very clearly, we need to build more houses in this country. We haven't built enough houses in this country for several decades, and we've got to put that right. That means for all of us, whether we're in a town or a village, we've got to stop thinking about building these houses somewhere else. And we need to build them in our communities. The ability for the neighbourhood planning is to make sure they're in the right place and the right scale. Thanks for inviting me.